Good evening, and welcome to Let's Just Talk with Hammi. Today, we're bringing you an exclusive interview with St. Lawrence University's 19th president, the one and the only president and Dr. Kate Morris. Now, I'm going to read you a little bit about her, and then we're going to get into, our topic and questions for today. Dr. and President Morris was appointed the 19th president of St. Lawrence University on February 4th, 2021, following a unanimous vote by St. Lawrence University's Board of Trustees. She will succeed President William L. Fox of Class of 75 and will assume presidency on July 1st, which is tomorrow, 2021. Dr. Morris has dedicated her life to higher education and chose to become a professor because she understood the impact of teaching and mentoring on students' lives. She comes to St. Lawrence after a distinguished career at Butler University, where she has most recently served as the provost and vice president of academic affairs for the past 9.5 years. In that role, she has been responsible for leading 6 academic colleges, played a critical role in strategic planning, and led 2 presidential commissions on diversity and on sexual assault. At Butler, she helped drive key institutional priorities, including enrollment growth, and launched a $250 million comprehensive campaign. I can't even comprehend how much money that is. But to continue, during the past year, she has demonstrated outstanding leadership as key part of the COVID-19 pandemic response team at Butler. Dr. Morris, welcome, and it's great to finally meet you in person.
Thank you. It's wonderful to meet you as well.
Well, to get us started, let me just jump straight into it. With no further ado, tomorrow is your first day.
Uh-huh.
Can you describe in 3 words or more how you're feeling about the start of your presidency?
3 words?
You can take as much time as you need.
Okay, so I would say, first of all, excitement.
Okay.
Because that's the predominant thing that I'm feeling is excitement and maybe enthusiasm. Very much looking forward to it. And maybe the third one, nervous. I think anybody who's starting a new job, if they say they're not a little bit nervous, they're probably lying.
Yeah. Is it one thing in particular that you're super excited about?
So it's been 4.5 months since I was named, and
so you've been anticipating it.
It's a long time to sort of wait to get something started. But I would say the thing that I'm very most excited about is student interaction, which frankly I've had today a couple of different times. I met with Thelma a little bit earlier, and now I get to meet you. I get to meet the crew. So that's the thing I'm most excited about.
Shout out to my amazing team.
Shout out.
And we're happy to be here. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to pursue this career.
My career in higher education is really inspired predominantly by my mother and my father. I grew up on the campus of the Liberal Arts College where my dad was a professor, and at the same time my mom taught at a community college that was about 10 miles away, and she worked with adult learners who were trying to retool their careers. And both of them really made a difference in people's lives. So I grew up in that environment where every day when I rode my bike as a kid, or after school when I went to visit my dad in his office, it was on a college campus, and walking the dog every day all through campus. Lots of students came through our house, and I thought, this is a pretty good way to live your life. And then when I went to college, I was looking for that same kind of environment just away from home.
Right.
And when I got there as a student, my experience was that the professors I worked with and my teachers, my mentors, my advisors, and the staff members that I got to know as a college student, they were really impactful to me in terms of helping me become the person that I became. And that just further reinforced that I wanted to move in this direction. At that point I was thinking about being a college professor, that's what I wanted to do. So yeah, without my mom and dad, if I hadn't seen that growing up, I don't know if I would have found it or not, but I really lived with it as a kid.
And Mom and Dad, if you're watching this, we thank you.
Love you, Mom and Dad.
We thank you for providing us. So, you mentioned you wanted to be a professor, and you made it happen. You're a doctor of psychology, and now you'll be the president of a liberal arts college.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think your experience as a psychology professor will help you in this new position?
Well, I think people come to college presidencies from lots of different directions,
Mm-hmm.
and I would like to believe that people figure out how they can use whatever their own personal background is
Right.
to their advantage. So I'm not sure that there's some sort of a unique advantage to
Right.
being a psychology professor.
Right.
But what I would say is I'm a social psychologist,
Right.
and social psychologists study the way people are affected by their social situation, their social environment. And the way that I plan to take advantage of that is to think not only about the people, but also the context in which people find themselves.
Wow.
So I will always think about things like culture and climate and the social environment, the academic environment, the physical environment that surrounds us on this campus. Those are things that I will take into account in addition to the people. And that's where I think my background as a psychologist might be beneficial.
And I think we'll be great. I mean, we're grateful to have you come and, bring all this new insight on our campus. And so one of your former students / mentee, Jessica Lacken, I don't know wherever you are in the world, but if you're seeing this, hello. She is quoted saying the following about you. What I try to, quotation mark, what I try to emulate about Kate is the calmness and thoughtfulness with which she approaches problems or challenging issues. The core of that is a respect for other people. She is able to navigate difficult situations and complexities with integrity and a clear commitment to doing what she believes is right. I have benefited greatly from her support and value our friendship. Now, this is a former student commending you and everything you've done for her.
Yeah.
And so, could you tell us if there's anything particular about the philosophies that inform your life and guides your leadership style?
I will answer that question, but I first feel like I have to tell you a little bit about Jessica.
Okay.
Jessica was in the very first social psychology course I taught at Butler in 1996.
Wow.
And she's a graduate of Butler from 1998. And she followed in my footsteps in a lot of ways. So she went on to become a doctor of social psychology, and she went to the very finest program in social psychology that existed in the country at that particular point in time. And then she went to a liberal arts college where she was a faculty member.
Wow.
And then over the past few years, she started moving into academic administration, and about a year and a half ago, she became the provost, which is what my former title was. So
Wow.
Jessica, we're waiting to hear your presidential announcement someday in the future, because that's the pattern that seems to happen. I also want to say that I did not know that they were going to ask Jessica for a quote for that article. I did not send them to her, and I know that the person who wrote that article does not know her. So someone gave them the tip, and when that article came out, I texted Jessica, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was so sweet, thank you. And that's maybe the best thing about working in higher education is the long-term relationships with students, and this is a case where a student really did become a friend and a colleague. So I'm really grateful to Jessica for the kind words that she said there, and she will be attending my inauguration in October, so that'll be really special.
We're looking forward to that.
Yeah, in terms of the answer to your question, anything that I know about leadership or the way that I have, the way that I carry myself as an academic leader and now an institutional leader is something that I've more or less figured out on my own through trial and error, through my own mistakes, or things that I did that I thought went really well, and I try to reflect on things, and I try to end every day really with what did I learn today. And so I would say the things that I believe in are, being true to yourself, because life is a really long time to play a role that's not who you are. So being true to yourself, being respectful of other people, knowing what your own internal North Star is and being guided by that, and not really letting yourself get sidetracked by other people who want you to be other and different things. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. While we're in the line of professorship, I'm going to do something that I've never done before. I'm going to pull out my phone and I'm going to log into Rate My Professor, because she was a professor for a long time. And we're going to read some of the comments that people have made and rated you. And then you can tell us if, you remember anything about those things. So one person here says, passionate teacher, but tests are unnecessarily hard. Now, the next person said, I love Dr. Morris. She's an amazing professor, although her tests are difficult, but I still have yet to get an A in one of her classes, a B plus both times. She's still wonderful and is my favorite teacher at BU. She is passionate about psychology and really wants you to learn. Love her. I'm going to read one more. Professor Morris is an awesome teacher. She teaches the material in an engaging way and gives great examples and shows movies, so it's not so boring. Hard test, though. You definitely have to put in a lot of time studying if you want to do well. Any feedback on these?
So high standards.
Right.
Yeah, I think that the best of higher education happens when the standards are really high, but the support is also there.
Right.
Where you make it clear that you have really high expectations, and then you help students live up to those expectations.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I have tried to focus on throughout my career as a teacher during the years that I taught. And I did teach a couple of classes more recently as well. Those comments are from my time as a full-time faculty member in the psychology department. But it brings back lots of wonderful memories in the classroom, and I really, really loved that part of my career.
Yeah. I can definitely second that statement, because from my time here at St. Lawrence, my favorite professors have been those that have required a lot from me, and now are some of my best friends that I've graduated, like Draper, for example. Everybody's scared of him and calls him Draper Paper Raper, but once you get to know him, he's one of the sweetest guys on earth. And then we're going to go back a little bit to the administrative side of things. So you worked hand in hand with President Jim Danko at Butler University. And are there any major takeaways you've learned from that relationship?
Yeah, absolutely. And hi, President Danko, wherever you are. Yeah, we worked together for 9.5 years, and I have tremendous respect for him, and I've tried to extend gratitude to him in this transition in as many ways as I could. He is currently my most important mentor in life, and I would say I've learned 2 really important things from Jim. I've learned way more than 2 things from him, but 2 things that I might comment on here. One is about work, and one is about life. And what I would say about work is that Jim taught me, and we talked about this, but he also demonstrates it in the way that he carries himself as the president of that institution. When you're in an executive level leadership position, you have to make really difficult decisions, and you're not making decisions between the right choice and the wrong choice. You're making decisions between multiple options, none of which is perfect. So no matter what you choose, there's holes in the argument as to why you should have chosen it. There's always going to be criticism about your choices. And if you had chosen something else, there would be criticism about that. There's not really an ability to choose something and have it be absolutely the right decision. So, one of the things that President Danko taught me is it's really important to stay true to what you believe is the right thing to do with the information you have at that moment in time. And if it ends up later, you get some other piece of information, you shift, you pivot, you change, you apologize when you mess up, but you are guided by that North Star. Now, he doesn't really use the North Star analogy in the way that I do, but he really lives that. He does what he thinks is right. He takes the criticism, but he goes to sleep at night and knows that he did what he thought was right. So that's something about the way you work that I've learned from him. And the way you live, I would say he's a very funny guy. And he doesn't take himself too seriously, and I think students on Butler's campus may not see that, and even some employees on Butler's campus may not see that, but he does not let the work and the difficult nature of it get to him, and he finds a way to find happiness in every day, and that's something that we should all really strive for. So among the many other things I've learned from him, those are the things I would share with you today.
Sounds like a wonderful man. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Now, shifting gears a little bit, there are some issues here at St. Lawrence University that students are particularly passionate about. And these include, but are not limited to, diversity, equity, and inclusion, issues related to sexual assault, and mental health. Can you speak to any initiatives that you undertook while at Butler or elsewhere relating to these issues?
Absolutely, and I should start by saying those are not just issues of particular concern to St. Lawrence students. Those are issues of particular concern to me.
Right.
So going back to my 16 years as a faculty member, diversity, equity, and inclusion, I would say I developed and taught a psychology of gender course. I taught a course called Psychology of Women in Film, and I kind of wonder. I wonder if the Rate My Professor was maybe talking about showing films in class. I taught a course on prejudice. I taught a course on stereotyping. More recently, in the last 3 years, I co-taught once and taught solo twice a course on determinants of well-being. So the wellness work has also shown up in my teaching. And even when I was teaching courses that didn't have anything to do directly with diversity, equity, inclusion, or social justice, I figured out ways to incorporate some of that content. So for example, in a research methods and statistics course, I found ways to incorporate content related to diversity and understanding among people from different backgrounds. And also about racial bias, actually, even in the content of a statistics course. So I tried really hard to make sure that that kind of content was infusing all of the work that I was doing. And frankly, if I could do that in a statistics course, a lot of people can do that in their courses if they have the right training and knowledge to do so. As a scholar, during the time that I was a teacher, my research focused on using confrontation to reduce bias or prejudice. So both my teaching and my scholarly work were definitely squarely in the realm of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And then in terms of my work as an administrator, I brought 16 years of experience focusing on those things in the classroom and in my scholarship. And let's see, with respect to DEI, I would tell you that there's two things that I'm particularly, well, maybe three, that I'm particularly proud of. I did lead the Presidential Commission on Diversity and Inclusivity at Butler. The faculty get credit for developing a social justice and diversity curricular requirement, but I was heavily involved in helping them get that passed and get that implemented. And then the third thing is we spent a lot of effort to diversify the faculty, and we have some outcomes I think we can be very proud of based on the initiatives that we put in place for faculty hiring. So a lot of my DEI work as provost has really been about faculty-oriented things, but that's what my job was really focused on. With respect to wellness, I think my biggest engagement has been teaching this course in I think 2020 before the pandemic, and then 2019 before that. I also led a faculty development program, or I didn't lead it, but I supported a faculty development program to help faculty members learn more about equity and wellness. So that was designed to help faculty members learn how to integrate more content related to equity or wellness in their courses or in their scholarship or in their service work with students. Any of those things would count. And then with respect to well-being in general, Butler University partnered with an outside organization called the JED Foundation, which partners with institutions over a 4-year period of time to really reconceptualize how the student life division of an institution works to prioritize wellness. And your Dean of Students has just initiated a collaboration with the JED Foundation. And so I can tell you for sure, I think Dean Hagee is really, really excited that I know about how the JED Foundation works and what the outcomes can be, because I'm a big champion for that work. Yeah. So those are a couple of things I would mention.
Thank you so much. And we look forward to you transitioning and bringing all that experience back to St. Lawrence. To shift gears a little bit, I'm not sure, should we jump straight into, okay, before we ask you these other questions, I would like to ask you, what are some of your hopes for the future of St. Lawrence? I know it's like we're pretty much, you start tomorrow.
Yeah.
But, do you have any hopes, and what are there, if any?
Yeah, so I'm going to interpret your question about hopes for St. Lawrence as big, bold things, as opposed to like, what's the next strategic plan going to look like, which is a little bit, Yeah, so in terms of big, bold hopes, I think there are 3 things that I could talk about, and they actually, I'm going to start with a little bit more mundane and then build into something that's a little bit bolder. Okay. On the more mundane front, it is a hard time for higher education right now, and a lot of schools are really struggling, and they're struggling financially. So I want to make sure that over the next 10 years that we do what we need to do to really put St. Lawrence in a great place in terms of long-term financial sustainability at the institution. And just to be clear, St. Lawrence is starting from a position of strength here, but that doesn't mean that we don't have any financial challenges, because there are some. So I think one thing is to really make sure that the institution is situated for weathering whatever financial storm comes our way. So I think that's something really important. Second of all, as I've listened to the stories of lots and lots of people who are affiliated with this institution, what I have learned is that St. Lawrence is often described as a gem, a hidden gem, or what are some of the other phrases that people say for something like that?
Kind of stuff.
Well, not really that, but a hidden gem, or a best kept secret, or something like that. And I really like the vibe of St. Lawrence, that we're not out there telling people how great we are, but I would like more people to be aware of just how special this place is. And then building off of that even further in terms of thinking about what does a liberal arts education look like 50 years from now, after I'm gone, after the majority of the current faculty have retired. How do we make sure that this place is at the leading edge then? And that's again a part of the longer term sustainability of the institution. But higher education and liberal arts education has changed over the last 50 years and will continue to change. So why not let St. Lawrence lead the way and be a national model for what higher education and what liberal arts education in the future can be? Why not St. Lawrence? So those are my kind of thoughts about the future.
I think St. Lawrence is in great hands here. So now we're gonna jump into the more fun part of this.
Okay.
So we're gonna play something called 21 Questions. If you're a teenager, you probably know what I'm talking about. But we're not gonna get into descriptions. But instead of 21 questions, we're gonna ask you 19 questions.
Okay.
Because you're the 19th president, obviously.
Fair enough.
But this is the lightning round.
Okay.
So you only get 30 to 45 seconds.
So I try to answer quickly.
As quickly as possible.
I'll do my best.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna start easy, then we're gonna get into hard stuff.
Okay.
All right. Favorite food? As in, what is your favorite food?
My favorite food. So today when I could eat anything I want, I ate a really nice, fresh, crisp, sweet apple. So I'm gonna go with that.
So your favorite food is apple?
I know, isn't that? They're healthy, they're good for you, they taste good.
Okay, question 2. There's a hockey game and a basketball game at the same time. Which one are you going to?
That is an unfair question. So So you were going to say life is full of unfair questions,
Yeah.
right? So I came from a place where for the last 24 years, there's a clear-cut answer to that, which is basketball, because there was not a hockey team. There was club hockey. So I really look forward to going to hockey games here. And
so you're going to go to a hockey game instead of a basketball game?
I will also go to basketball games, and I will enjoy that.
You can't pick both. You got to pick one.
Well, if I have to choose, and this is so unfair, I'm just saying this is unfair, at St. Lawrence University, I'm going to choose the hockey game. But that doesn't mean I won't also go to the basketball game at a different time.
I think you're safer with the hockey answer. St. Lawrence hockey fans are fanatics. Okay, question 3. How many pets do you have?
I have 2 pets.
Follow-up questions. What are they?
Is that 4 and 5?
No. That's
this
still
is
part
still
of
3. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a dog who is a black lab mix.
Okay.
And his name is Comet, and he
Okay.
is about 8 years old. He was a rescue, so we don't know exactly.
Okay.
And I have a cat whose name is Apple.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do with me liking apples.
Okay.
But he was found wandering as a little kitten in an apple orchard, so he got named Apple.
Okay. So, which one is your favorite? This is still question 3.
Comet.
Comet.
Yes.
Okay. I hope Apple watches this tonight and, guess it's okay. We're gonna move on to question 4 because this is a lightning round. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with your line of work?
8. Very happy, but there's always room for improvement.
You have unlimited wealth. What's the first thing you buy?
I figure out somewhere to make a philanthropic donation.
6. Who inspires you?
My children.
Okay. That's so sweet. Give them a shout out. Hi, kids. Okay. Finish the sentence. I'm looking forward to.
Everything. I'm looking forward to more time with students, new challenges, new colleagues.
8. Finish the quote. Life is better with.
A dog.
Comet. Okay.
Comet.
9. If I didn't work in higher education, I would be a.
Public health expert.
Okay. Maybe we should get you for our public health episode. That would be nice. Number 10. Come to St. Lawrence because.
We change lives here.
Number 11. Name 3 memorable classmates back in college. She attended Gettysburg College and University of Texas.
Yeah.
Name 3 memorable college.
I can't name 3. Can I name 10?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah?
We have time.
Sue, Deb, Claire, Sarah, Ann, Molly, Pam, Steve, Dave, and Kent.
And if you
My buds from college.
And if you weren't in that top 10 list, you know you're not one of the buds. Okay. So, 11? No, that was 11. 12. Would you rather have a scholarship made in your name or a building named after you?
A scholarship.
A scholarship. 13. You go to your office. What's the first thing you do?
Take a sip of water.
Okay. 14. What's one thing you wish everyone knew about you?
I am the same kid who grew up in a tiny town in the middle of Ohio.
Gotcha. That was 14. Okay, 15. If you could bring one person to work with you every day, who would it be?
Comet.
Comet. Comet is not even a person. Okay.
Comet is totally a person. You cannot take away his humanity.
My apologies. 16. List 5 things you couldn't live without.
Logan, Aaron, Mom, Dad, and Brian.
Shout out to all those people.
Mm-hmm.
17. A must-read book, or at least 3 books, if you want to name that.
Oh my goodness. I would say a photo album or an electronic photo album, because I think I really enjoy looking back at my pictures very frequently, because it reminds me of how much great stuff I have in my life, and it makes me happy.
Yeah. Okay. 18. General advice you would give graduates, young graduates like myself.
Be yourself, because life is too long to play a role that's not you.
Snap, snap, snaps. 19. Last and final question. This is going to be your first year working at St. Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Take your time with this question. What message do you want to give incoming first years in the fall?
So I actually will have opportunities to talk to the incoming first-year students, and I've already started to think a little bit about what I will say to them. And I think some of the highlights, be yourself. You've heard me say that a few times. Be yourself. I would also say be open to new experiences. Challenge yourself. Make yourself uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, that's when learning happens. And you just might find out something about yourself that you didn't know was true.
Right. Thank you so much for being here with us. Before I end this, is there anything you want to say to the audience?
I would just say to the audience, thank you so much. Literally every member of this community has been so incredibly welcoming, and it's a really good feeling to know that this is the community I get to call my own and as home. And this has been a great start as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.